that has the Disney Lorcana logo on it and make that bigger so that you can see the graphics that we share, especially today because we're going to be talking about art. So you're going to want to see everything that we're talking about.
Oh, art stuff.
So today is the creative team main stage. If anyone doesn't know me, Richelle Brady at Ravensburger, Global Community and Engagement Manager, and part of that job is setting up things like this to connect people that make the game with fans. Today from the creative team, we have Anna Stosik, Senior Art Director and the set lead for Wilds Unknown, and then Shane Smith, Senior Manager Card Design, which he said he changed this morning. I don't even remember what it said before. Whoops. My screen froze.
Oh no!
No. It also froze for us. Oh.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then for content creators, Garrick, Garrick's Lorcana Lair, and Podcana. Podcana? Podcana.
Podcana, like Lorcana, right?
Lorcana.
Gotcha.
Podcana.
And then Rebekah, RebekahQuests, and very recently, Happy Questing Club.
Yeah.
So with Wilds Unknown, we kind of talked about this with the narrative main stage last week, but and on the special lorecast. But something that's different with this set compared to previous ones is that we're spread out. We're spread out across three very different settings, and so you see characters in all different sorts of places trying to get back to the Illuminary. And so first, what I was hoping y'all could talk through is just the visual, the identity of each of those settings, starting with Will or Not.
The jungle landscape. What? So I have to know. This just popped into my head, so I apologize. This wasn't a planned question, but did you decide first on like the ink identity of each of the three locations, and then the like locale, like the jungle? Like which came first, jungle or emerald amber? Like was it the ink first, and then you went what kind of environment makes sense for those inks, or the other way
So,
around?
so for this, we knew the ink first for sure because the inks are based on the Illumineers in this. So,
Mhm.
we have like all of the three, like our base Illumineers, they have their own dual inks basically. So we kind of assumed that with their inks, they go into these two ink biomes where they the biomes are basically affected by the Illumineers. So, but I think that what is special is that actually all the amber glimmers, for example, would be in this jungle setting. And normally we have amber glimmers in every place, right? We have different locations in Lorcana and everyone can be there. But this time we kind of assume that the glimmers just went with their Illumineers. So that's how it was created.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I like the decision for those specific ink colors because it just feels very nature to me. Obviously we have the emerald and all the green foliage and all of that, and you see the sun coming down and illuminating Woody here. It reminds me of the amber. So, and the flowers as well. I really like that visual language, melded together with the storytelling. I think that's really cool for this location specifically.
Was there
Yeah, I
anything
Yeah,
think that
and the
particular about like kind of the identity of Will or Not where you're like mixing the different, typically like the visual um, ink identity, like Garrick was saying? Was it different having two inks in mind in the setting when it's like a single ink glimmer?
yeah, I think that these were it's always like this with these complex things in Lorcana where once it's solved, it looks supernatural, and you feel like, oh, this is so normal, right, to see Woody in this fragment of Lorcana. But I think it's quite tricky to develop these locations to work for each ink. But basically, for us, the process to have them be split into inks was because we knew that all the glimmers are single ink. So we had this split in the locations, and I think that we talked about this before in the other video. I really confused as to where we show things, but we talked about how the jungle setting is split into the top part, which is more amber themed and a bit more human friendly, and the bottom part is a bit more dangerous and unclear, and it's the emerald part. So we wanted to have this clear split in all of these locations so that we always can show a single ink glimmer. But when you, for example, see a little bit of background, you understand that there's some emerald also happening in the background, but we have these characters placed in the amber part of the wilder knot, for example. And I think that with these locations, with each of them, first we started with this, that we want the jungle and it has to be amber, amber emerald in this case. But how is it amber emerald is the trickier part. But we base it on the ink qualities, right? So for example, with amber, we know that amber is usually presented as this more organized and human-friendly and kind of nice setting, a bit easier. So everything that's amber is a little bit more friendly. And you have plenty of characters that are in some parts of ruins, in some architecture that's placed in the tops of the trees, in the amber setting, so their lives are a bit easier. But the emerald glimmers are placed in these emerald parts, which are a bit more chaotic, and they have to adapt more because adaptability is one of the qualities of the emerald ink. So basically, we were focusing on how do we make this part of the jungle, what would be more human friendly and man-made in this jungle setting, and then trying to pick the solution for this ink in amber, and then what would be more perilous and unexpected, and pick the emerald in this way. And what we landed with was this split of top and bottom. And with the other biomes, you will notice that they just have different solutions, but they are usually just clearly split. So we have the bottom part that is something different, and the top part that is something different, and they have this little bit of overlap, but it's not a really big overlap. And they are based on the qualities of ink always, so that we can have the glimmers really work within their ink and have something to do in the set, in the fragment of Lorcana where they are placed.
So is it that way splitting them up, even with torchlight peaks? Is it there's areas that are more of this amethyst identity and areas that are more steel identity?
Yes, so with torchlight peaks, the steel part is definitely the top part, and the amethyst part is the bottom part. And in some of the amethyst parts, amethyst cards, you will see that we have a lot of these floating magical lava, for example, because amethyst is very magical. And in steel parts, you have some glimmers that have to work with these obstacles that require them to be strong, because steel glimmers are physically very strong. So you will see big rocks, heavy details, heavy elements that they have to move or they have to climb. So they have these more physical obstacles rather than the magical obstacles in the amethyst ink.
And then Great MTC.
Yeah. Is it a similar thing, up and down with the ruby versus the sapphire?
Yeah, I would say so. And it's again based on the qualities of the inks. And the sapphire, I think, was really tricky because sapphire glimmers are more intellectual, which is kind of harder to show in the cards. But we were more focused on these exploratory qualities of the sapphire glimmers and showing them with these beautiful floating rocks that are sapphire here, and we have sapphire ley lines. But with ruby, we've had, for example, a bunch of toys that are ruby, and we knew that they are small. So we picked the ground to be ruby, and because the vine is growing through the world of Lorcana, we show these splits in the ground that are very ruby shaped. to create these, again, like Ruby glimmers are more like physical, active glimmers that will jump and run. So we show them being active in these more like split ground canyons. So we just wanted to create opportunities for the glimmers to just do what their inks would do, basically. And that's how these settings were created. And we, of course, had amazing concept artists working on this. So like our team, the Ravensburger team, was preparing like the guides and asking to do this and that. And then the artists were interpreting this, and they did really incredible work with all of these locations.
A lot of world building happening with, which I know is something that you guys all talk about in Disney Lorcana a lot, especially like with the narrative team about the world building. But with these different biomes now, I feel like they're like the world, the realm of Lorcana just got like, we saw such a huge expansion with like going into the Inklands and the Azurite Sea and everything. But this is like even like on a grander scale, that there's all this world building going on. And I'm just interested to hear about that process and how the artistic team specifically like approaches world building from the yeah, with the art.
So I think that what I talked about before is mostly what we do. So we get these general guidelines from the narrative team, and we of course work together a lot. So we know of some of the roles of the characters. We also base a lot of themes on the mechanics of the cards, and all of the teams like game dev and narrative and our art team work. We work together to look for themes that will work for this pack of cards, right? So when you have, yeah, like you have some small characters that are really active and Ruby, for example, you want to create opportunities for them to be active and act Ruby. So we know like what they are doing, maybe more or less, and we sit down and we talk about how do we solve that visually. And sometimes we have characters that have really like strong narrative function in the set, that have to do something and achieve some goals in the set, like Elsa in Winterspell, right? She has like a clear role in the set. But Wilds Unknown are more like everyone just tries to get back home and to the Illuminary, and after like being lost during the Winterspell storm and kind of having lost their ways and having landed in all of these different places, we want them all to feel like they are just trying to in their own ways, just get back to the Illuminary. And we look for how would that work for this group of characters, and if they have any specific role that we also have to follow. Like we have the travelers, for example, that are a group of characters that we assume that they have been in Lorcana for a longer time. So this was a narrative like group of characters that had their own role in the set, and it's also a game. I think it's called a cycle. I don't know because I'm not like that good with this. So they have a specific role in the gameplay. They have a specific narrative role, and then we get these roles and we talk about how do we solve that. So for these guys, the solution was to make them feel like they are a little bit more classical Lorcana, so they don't have this theme of being like making things as they go. They just have these really designed costumes, and we assume that they just have been in these places for a long time. They are really adapted to be there, and they serve almost like guides, and they are just traveling their own biomes. So they feel like they are a little bit older, I would say, but in the way that they are established in these places. And then we have characters like even these guys, Woody and Buzz, that you see that these costumes are quite like feeling new, like they are adapted to the biome as they go, right? So they have some things that are handmade, they have some things that are just adapted by them to take this role that they are taking in the world of Lorcana at this moment.
So, kind of moving on from the different locations, you talked about on the special lorecast having this style in mind for the Enchantement and Iconic cards, Lore Nouveau. We have some cards here to talk through, but would you be able to kind of expand on that, or if the creators have any questions about Lore Nouveau? Yeah.
I would love
I
to hear more about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would too. I really love this specific art style, and I'd like to know more specifically about it. I think, taking a look at all of them, we can sort of pick out where they're visually similar to one another. I think of this Frozone card as well as the Mrs. Incredible Enchanted that we've seen. I think those two cards illustrate the style very well. But yeah, I would love to hear more about this specific style and why it was chosen for Wilds Unknown.
So we talked about the style a little bit in the special video that we released with the set about Buzz that Connie have done. But basically with enchanted styles, we always look for something that will support the set. So in this case, because the set is quite organic and natural, we wanted something that would feel kind of organic and natural, but also still feel like it belongs to the world of Lorcana. And I think that we were thinking about doing Art Nouveau for some time because we of course talk about like what we would want to do in the future. But I think that in the age of AI, it's kind of difficult to avoid things looking just too generic. So we were looking for a way to make it feel like it's really what if this style was created in Lorcana with the Lorcana style cues. And so we took just some parts of the style and especially like these organic qualities and also the used by Alphonse Mucha, the circular motif that he uses, but reinterpreted it to be made out of the real world elements in Lorcana. And I think that when you look at these cards, and especially when you look at all of them laid together, you see that the compositions are really highly stylized. And they are really, like even the posing is a little bit flatter than it's in the standard cards, for example, because we wanted to have this little hint to the Art Nouveau as their point of reference. But we really wanted them to feel more like a Lorcana interpretation of this than us like be true to the original style. And that's how this style was created. But I would say that Enchanted style is a big process. Like we have a lot of talks about how the style will look and what we should do for a particular set because it's really important for us. So we have a lot of people involved in it. We do the style tests that are released as cards. So we kind of go through this whole process where we say, we want to do this. This is how we want to do this. Then we hire usually 2 artists to work on 2 cards with us and see how this really should look. And then this is provided to the rest of the artists to kind of do a similar thing. So we only at this point, we know exactly how the style would look.
Yeah, I love that explanation. I love that Frozone card, the way the Omnidroid sort of frames the card, and then we see here in the Touch the Sky how the surrounding nature does that. It's like like a looking glass into like a painting that's like coming alive is how I would
Mhm.
see it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. The framing on the enchanteds that we've seen so far are just incredible. This one, Touch the Sky, is most definitely my favorite so far that I've seen. It's beautiful. And one of the first things that I said when I saw this was, I cannot wait to see what the foiling looks like in person, because I know the enchanted foiling is always like chef's kiss. And one of the questions that I had was, when you're working with the artists on these cards, like the enchanteds and even the iconics that are going to get like that special foil treatment, is that something that you work with the artists in the process of developing what ends up being on the final card, knowing that there's going to be those foil elements?
It depends on which set. Like for this set in particular, we kind of waited to get the art to see what was happening, like what was going to be the execution for the Lore Nouveau kind of styling, and then we took it from there. On future sets, we're working more with the artist during the art development, or even way before. Like I've been working with Anna, like on sets that are way in the future to say, what do we think we might want to do when we get to this one, you know? But on this set in particular, we actually worked with Laura Altered again. She helped me with these. We collected a mood board of Mucha and like Gaudi and all this kind of Art Nouveau stuff. and we went through and like if you look at this, touch the sky, you see all these swirly gold lines that
Yeah.
are in there.
Yeah.
That was So Laura did those afterwards, adding them into the art. And some of those are going to be printed gold, similar to how we'll talk about the pre-release cards, and then some parts of those are like a stamped gold. So there's like a really like interesting dual play of the treatment on those, where some things will kind of pop off, and some stuff will just be kind of gold and shiny. But it's really really pretty, and I think that the art on its own was cool. It was cool to just go through and you know yeah, it was cool. And what we really wanted to do with Laura's treatment adding on was emphasize that kind of circular muka framing and really play into that nouveau. Like, how do we emphasize it? How do we, bring it out even more? How can we treat it? And these were a lot of fun to do. They were challenging. Art Nouveau is not easy. It's so detailed. There's so many like weird characteristics to it that you might not notice, but then when you see it done correctly, you're like, oh man, that feels really Art Nouveau. Like there's a shape in Art Nouveau called the whiplash that it's very popular, and it's like once you see it, you're like, oh, that's Nouveau, but it's hard to know, beforehand. It's really interesting.
I think what's really great about these enchanteds in this set is that even people that aren't familiar with like the Art Nouveau art style will see them all distinctly and recognize that they're all part of a set. They go together. They might not know exactly why, but visually they're all distinct, but they all like align with one another. And I think there is great depth in all of them that I've seen thus far, which I think is really important. On the last one by Viv, it like I feel like once I see it in person, I'll feel like I can just reach in and like be a part of the world. The detail in the depth is so amazing, and I really really love that from this set. The enchanteds feel like they're coming to life to me.
And I think the other thing with this set that I feel like maybe was said in the special lore cast was that a lot of the enchanteds this set, you made sure to work with the artists who did the original artwork to also then do the alternate artwork for the enchanteds, which is not always the case. And but that's really fun, and I wonder if you could speak to the decision to do that, or if that changed like the process of taking the original art and then turning into the enchanted alternate art with working with the same artists for those cards.
So that's not like us new. This is something that we've done at the very start of Lorcana, right? Like from set 1 and 2, we also had a bunch of cards that were done by the same artist as the standard. And I think that because this style is quite close to the style that we normally use for the cards, the modern storybook style, but it's mostly just the styling is in the framing and composition and like the posing of the characters, and not in the different old style per se, right? They are not flat, they are not like paper cut like the previous set. So we were basically able to ask the same artists that have worked on the standard to work on this. And I think that it's like it has different challenges than working with different artists, because you have to avoid making the composition too similar, which I think is like you would draw the same thing the second time. And we were not able to do that with every card, of course, because we have only done that really with like really established artists that we have on Lorcana. Everyone wants to work on enchanted cards, and I think we not often enough have a chance to give to like our really established Lorcana artists the enchanted cards to do. So it was a good opportunity to do that. And but I think that the challenge is to not repeat yourself, and the challenge is to like really make this composition really stylized, because it is. I think it's really difficult, and it was really difficult for the art directors and the artists to find the right natural theme that will create this circular motif. It's quite abstract. I think that again, once it's done, once you have this solution sketched, it's like, oh, obviously. But before you see it, it's really like just a plain piece of, like digital paper, and what to do with it. And I think that the artist is amazing work. They know what not to repeat, but it's still difficult not to repeat yourself. I think as an artist myself, I think it's quite like you have this idea, you use the idea, and now you're asked to have another idea that is even better than the first one. And I think it is a challenge actually. But on the other hand, the kind of easier part for them is that they know the character, they have studied the character, they know the scene, they know what we kind of expect from the card, right? So they know what is the theme of the card, they understand it really well, and then they just translate it to this more stylized version of the card. And so I think that it just has different challenges. Sometimes it's easier to be this new fresh artist, which has like just a really different style, and then you know it won't be very similar because the style is just so vastly different. In this case, it was a bit trickier. But on the other hand, the artist is already familiar with the card. They already know how the character looks. They already know what are our expectations as to the character likeness, the costume, the staging. And as I said, many of these are done by our really established Lorcana artists, which I think makes work usually easier because they know what we expect. They know what the steps are. They know the layering of the cards. So it has just different challenges than the standard, than the typical, like very different style where we pick the artists for the style, basically. So this time we knew that we can pick the same artists, and we tried to because the style was a bit closer to our typical Lorcana style.
I love that decision. I think that when you take a look at the regular Woody Jungle Guide art and then you take a look at the set championship card, you obviously see that this one is built with that style, but the visual similarities are so tight and uh, apparent because the same artist did it. Like the matchstick, for example, when I saw them side by side, I was like, yeah, that's the same artist, and they're doing an incredible job at giving us two separate scenes here. So I love that decision. I think it makes a lot of sense and really brought something special to the set.
I love the candy bracelet around his hat.
Yeah,
So
me
fun.
too.
So, giving Shane a little more to talk about, I took some photos up close of some of the
Ooh.
cards
Nice.
Oh,
just to
I
get some of
love
Oh
those
it.
yeah. Oh
details.
yeah. These cards, okay, when you guys pull your iconic Merida cards, take a
When?
look at
Yeah.
when you get it. When you get your it's I think we put one in every pack. So when you get it, uh take a look at her bow and the laces on her top there and the little details on like the bowstring also. There's such fine detail in that foil. It's incredible. Like right on her bow, there's little like
I can
etchings in
see
there.
it.
You can't even see them on these photos because they're so
Probably
delicate.
can.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I think these in particular really show off. Yes, the comments. Yeah, one Merida every pack. Yeah, these iconics in particular, I think they really show off the fidelity and like how detailed the iconics can be. It's like yeah, it's incredible.
I'm excited to see what they look like in person. Hopefully, I can take a look at one of these in person. I've been lucky enough to have an iconic from Fabled and one from Whispers in the Well, and
Wow.
they're both
Garrick.
so
Wow.
incredible. No flex, no flex, but hopefully
Humble
I can
brag.
get one here. Nothing from Winterspell just yet, but I'm excited to see what they look like in person because it feels like you guys are upping your game every single time, and it boggles the mind as to how you're able to do it because you're like, oh, well, this is like the peak that we can reach, and then it's the next set comes out and you're like, well, they did it again. And yeah, I'm excited to see those really fine details that you're talking about, because
It's
I'm not sure it's something we've seen yet.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like the original art, the artist had drawn in the actual line of the bow, the bowstring.
Yeah.
And when I got to it, I was like, well, I'm going to take that out of the art. I'm just going to put it only in the foil, so it's like a shiny, like super
Wow.
thin line that you can get the
Yeah.
reflections on. And like the factory will say, hey, these foil lines, they can be like 0.5 millimeters thick or something, like, or like really, really small. And I'll go, okay, about 0.3. And they'll go, you. And then, they'll print it and they'll say, that's pretty fine. And I go, you did it though. It
You
looks
did it.
pretty good. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely try to push them and
Yeah,
see,
push
how
Actually,
much more we can add.
I love that even for the bowstring because the way that like when you think about a string in real life and the way that like light would hit such a thin piece of material like that like
Exactly.
the translation of creating that effect through just having it be the foil versus an actually drawn line. I am very excited to see how that looks in person because that's always one of my favorite things in the art of Lorcana is seeing how the artists play with light in their art. And so even with the foil, how the interplay with the reflection of light on the foil and how that is part of the art piece is always so fun for me to see. So I'm especially excited to see this one in person. And then all the lore symbols.
Yeah.
I love the foil lore symbols that are throughout the iconics.
Yeah.
Like it just makes me they're happy. There's something about it that just makes me happy.
I love that foil too. It was fun to make, and I think when you see those lore stars just shining, it just makes it so extra Lorcana, right? It's like, hey bro, I heard you like Lorcana, so how about some Lorcana on your Lorcana? It's like just the
Yeah.
most. How can you make it the most? That's how you do it. Yeah,
It's gorgeous. All the Merida fans out there, I think were floored when we saw this card. It's amazing.
I'm a Meredith
So
fan. Yeah, I've been waiting. Brave is one of my favorites. So when they were like, "We're doing an iconic Merida," I was like, "Heck yeah, I'm gonna do the foil on that one." So yeah, that it was a lot of fun.
So speaking of playing with light, and someone asked a question about it with the Buzz iconic.
This guy.
Good.
I'm
It's
really
crazy to how it
excited to
looks
see
like
this.
it's
Yeah.
glow in the dark.
Yeah.
It
It
does.
does. It
It
does.
literally looks like, or if you put it under like a black light maybe or something, that it would like it just is like iridescent.
Yeah, it's not glow in the dark. It's almost like glow in the day. It's like a really crazy green. It's metallic, but it's not as metallic. It's not like a chrome. It's almost like a brushed green, which looks really cool on Buzz because a lot of his stuff, he's not metal, he's plastic. So on Buzz in particular, I think it works really well. And it was fun to go through and say what parts of his costume are green. Okay, let's just make those green. And then there's obviously so much plant life in the background and the little alien way in the back, doing that stuff too. And then just like on Merida, there's a lot of really, really fine details in those little swooshes behind him coming out of those flowers and there's little pollen dots. And so there's a lot of little tiny specks of green foil in there that were fun to do and probably scared the factory when we sent those files in. Yeah.
Just to confirm, Rochelle, the two pictures that you took here on the right, that's the same card in different lighting?
Yep, that's the same card with
That's
slight like the
incredible.
same lighting from
That's
different
but just at a
angles.
different angle, right?
Yeah.
Like when you
Yeah.
tilt it. What's crazy to me about that too is like I imagine if I had a Buzz Lightyear toy that like was a glow in the dark Buzz Lightyear toy, like that's what it would look like.
Yeah. It's incredible
Yeah,
how they
it's
were able to get that
perfect for
effect
Buzz.
to pop like that.
It's yeah, it's a cool foil. It's a cool foil. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, we had a bunch of swatches of like, okay, if there's an iconic card, like this is the color for each ink that it would be. And obviously this is the first emerald one. So they were like, all right, Shane, here's what the emerald foil looks like. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I have to put this all over this card. Like it's so much emerald. It's a
Yeah.
lot of
Is
fun.
this the first time, Shane, that you guys because you mentioned that it's a non-metallic foil. Is this the first time that we'll see a card like that?
Yeah, I mean it is metallic in a way.
Uh-huh.
Like obviously, if you look at those two pictures on the right, there is some kind of metallic shading between them. Like if you look at the strength icon, it does have a metallic sheen to it,
Mhm.
but it's not like a chrome metallic. It's more like a like a stainless steel, how it's almost like a brushed kind of
Oh,
metal, right? It doesn't
yeah.
it doesn't have
Okay.
the texture of brushed metal, but it's that like semi yeah, matte like thank you,
Like my
Bobby
refrigerator.
McHugh. Yeah, it's like yeah. It's like a Frigidaire. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then Wilds Unknown, we talked about introducing the pre-release boxes with these new
Yeah.
promo cards for them with the travelers.
Oh, man.
But it has a little detail on it that's new.
Yep,
Logo.
yep. So
Is it a
yeah, so
rainbow
these
foil?
it is, yeah. It's the same foil as the Epic cards. So they're really pretty. I think if you have these uh what's the actual name of these, Rochelle, that we can call them? These frames. The gilded frame?
They're play frames.
The play frames, yeah. So if you have one of these from Winterspell, from like the weekly play, like your local game store kind of cards, those are on just a plain silver foil, like a base foil. And these ones, we wanted them to be a little bit more special. So we said, let's put them on the Epic foil. And it makes them really bright, and that color comes through so nicely. And of course, we added the set logo on here, which is it's just a printed foiled, so you can really see uh, like the rainbow underneath, right? It's not a stamp on top that would cover that rainbow, so it really pops off. And these were a lot of fun to do. I'm excited for these ones in particular because when I made that gold border, this is what I was imagining. So now I get to see like actually, now it's real.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to expand a little bit on the vague question that Shane asked. We're both part of a promo card committee that started like last year, and we've been calling this frame something we're not allowed to say publicly because it is a brand name.
Yeah. We have a fun nickname for it. It was something else that it reminds us of that I named it that. And we were like, we can't call it that though, because
Play.
that's another brand. It is a cereal, but I'm not
It's a
going to say what.
cereal. People are
Yeah,
close.
it's a cereal. Yeah.
Figured you had
And
to
yes,
do that.
yes. Someone in the chat asked about doing a stamp. If it was a stamp, yes, that's much more difficult, especially at the size that we're doing them and how detailed those set logos are.
Yeah.
Like if you think about Whispers in the Well and how those names were, sometimes you could see like a little bit of filling in, and you can rub that off, right? It wasn't like a permanent thing, but these are even more detailed than those, and so we wanted them to be perfect and make sure that they look as good as they can in whatever language they end up going out into.
Yeah.
And so on this Cinderella, you can see the metallic, not so much the rainbow on this angle, but you can see the metallic shine of that foil. And something we starting to do with Wilds Unknown, and even more when we get into Attack of the Vine, is when we do these alternate foils for like epic cards or these pre-release cards, have been changing how the white ink on the card is, the part that shows what parts are foil versus not foil. So if you get a regular Cinderella Resourceful Traveler in your booster, like on the silver foil, and you compare it to this one should be a little bit more shiny. Like her jewelry, we added more foil to that, particularly because the rainbow foil
Let me
is just,
see.
it sits brighter, so you can take some of that white ink out and things don't turn gray and dark. So these, we really were looking at how can we push them to make them even shinier, even brighter, more special. And that was a lot of fun too, to go back in and cut those parts out of the costume and foil them.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that, but you answered my question. So
There you go.
these look great. Yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on these for sure.
Can I
Yeah,
ask
so
a
definitely look.
question about?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, is this a good spot, Rochelle, that I could ask a question about costume design?
Oh, sure.
Because that, and I know that we're talking about costumes earlier, but I know that that's like a whole separate part even of the illustrative process of the actual costume design that the glimmers are wearing. And I don't know that I've ever heard someone from the team talk about that part of the process, and especially these travelers that you were talking about earlier, that their costumes was such an important part to show how they were in their environment, in their biome. Cinderella is has a beautiful costume. I love the Ariel one as well, the travelers. But what does that part of the process look like?
I don't know how much I can actually talk about like the internal processes, but they are so for Wilds Unknown, they were done like we decide which cards need a costume when we decide what each card will be like showing. So after the cards already, we know like what the card is doing, and then now we have to kind of decide what the card looks like. And for some of the cards, like for these travelers, we knew that there's a group of characters. It's a set number of characters that were picked by game dev, and then we talked with the narrative team about how to treat them. And with these traveler characters, as I mentioned before, we wanted them to feel like really Lorcana characters that kind of really belong to the world of Lorcana, and they are mostly inspired by just their own story and by the ink theming and just the world where they are placed. So you can see that she's not in a like survival costume as some of these other characters are. She's more in a costume inspired by like the sewing mice. So she has this I don't know how this is called, like the little pillow for the needles and the pins. So she
The
has these
pincushion.
yeah, the stuff with the pincushion, and the mice are kind of helping her. And we thought about these characters as their role would be to maybe guide other characters that come. So she can meet these characters that come to Lorcana and to this like sapphire space in our desert location, and maybe she can help them with like something that they need help with by these skills that she has, right? So she has these mice that can help her like adjust some clothing, maybe if someone would need that. So she could do that for the Illumineers, and the glimmers are then imagined by the Illumineers, of course. But so we were looking for like these little ideas that connect to the characters more. And with some of the other characters, like Woody and Buzz, like, that we have seen before, their costumes are created to help them survive, right? So they are really trying to get back home. In this key art for Wilds Unknown, you can see the Illuminary in the background, and you can see how they are using elements of their costumes to really go there and just reach the destination. So the costumes are always dependent on the card and the purpose of the character and the role. And of course, when we have shift mechanics, the characters normally would get a costume, but in case of the superhero characters, they don't have to get a new costume because they can just shift to their like
That's
different
true.
form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that too, because and hearing about that, thank you so much for sharing, because it's not just one person who brings the art to life. I know that there's so many people involved in that process, from art directors to the costume design and the illustrator and everything. And so I know everybody loves hearing about a little bit. I know you can't share everything of your internal processes, but hearing a little bit of the behind the scenes of how these cards come to life. We do need, I saw a bunch of comments, we need like a Disney Lorcana fashion show.
Get your
So
traveler
one
Yeah.
cosplays ready.
You're
To
right.
be honest, someone mentioned that they would make great cosplay costumes,
Yes.
and
I
I
think
really
so
want
too.
to see that. We've had some people cosplaying characters in Lorcana. It always makes the team super happy to see it. So please do cosplay these characters. It will make us and the card artists and the costume artists so happy.
I want to do an Ariel Traveler, the Curious Traveler. I want to do her cosplay because I'm an Ariel fan. And I love her. We'll see.
So one thing that has been happening for a bunch of sets now are these connected artworks, and I was wondering, even I don't know the answer to this, is do you have an idea for connected artwork in mind ahead of time before the cards, or is it more of these are two cards you know need art, and so you decide to do one large piece and split it across the two cards?
So I think it depends. It depends a lot on who is working on the set and what cards we have in the set, and we of course try to connect the cards based on the story, but also based on the themes that we think will work, or there are some characters that we think that people would really want to see in a connected artwork, so we try to do that. I really love connected art. I know that some people don't love that because of the constant miscut discussion, but I love it. And because I had the pleasure of being a set lead on the set, I really was trying to get some of the panoramic cards into the set. And we basically we work on the whole set together with the game dev and narrative and the art. So we have a lot of discussions as to what can connect, what should connect. And because we have for some groups of characters, we need some special little settings. So we know that they are together in this place. They are connected to this storyline. For example, the Incredibles, they had this storyline where they fight Syndrome, right? So we knew that they are fighting the Omnidroids. They are in the same location. We have a location designed for them specifically that we know what it looks like. So we know that they are in the same space. We normally show one character in a card, but because we have this story, we are looking for the opportunities to tell this story. And when we have characters that are in the same ink and they are connected by the story, we think that, oh, maybe this could be a diptych, maybe it could be a panorama. So that's kind of how it's created. So it's not like a requirement to make them for like anyone in the team, but I think it's a good opportunity to do something that's really fun. So we try to do it when we can.
I think this one came together, really well. Talking about the Omnidroid and the Mr. Incredible. Obviously, the art being connected is really cool, and we see the battle going on. But then we go like another level deeper, and within the cards, there's a battle going on, right? You have the Omnidroid shift in, deals 2 damage. Mr. Incredible comes in and deals 2 damage back. I just think that's really cool. So I love that these are connected. I think top to bottom, every single team came together to make these as immersive as possible. I just wanted to throw that out there. I love that connection between the gameplay and the
That's a
art.
great call out. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
awesome.
Yes, I think that game dev, to be honest, they are doing amazing work on making the cards connect and making the themes connect. And this is such it's such a great material to work with. Like, we get the cards, they don't have the images that we would know what they look like, but when you read through the mechanics, you really like feel like, oh, it does connect. It actually like makes so much sense for this character to be doing this. And I think that really helps us to create the artwork that will work for the character. So there's a lot of work from every part of the team and a lot of love that goes into these cards that kind of allows them to work as like the whole art and mechanic and the story of the set. So I think that's really cool, and everyone is doing great work.
How is it? I have to ask about these because we have had some other connecting art across inks, but there's not very many. Most of the panoramic cards that we get are within the same ink color, but I love this so much. And we heard in the narrative Mainstage that they're looking for each other. And so, but even there's kind of these two different stories going on, but even just the fact that they're in two different inks, how do you approach doing connected art across ink colors?
So I think that this is not very usual for us to do because also because how people collect cards and how they place them in the binders, for example. So this is a bit different, but I'm sure that Jenna talked about like how these cards are connected, so they have this narrative connection, and we really wanted to have them feel like they have this narrative connection because they are characters from two different movies, so they don't feel like immediately you don't think that they are connected, but they have their own story that will be explored or is explored, because I don't know the timeline for our like other Lorcana things.
Will be.
But they have.
It has not been explored yet.
Okay, yeah, so they will be explored a bit more somewhere in the future, maybe. And this is what we were asked to do. So we were asked to create an artwork that will connect them. And you can see that because they are in different places, and we know that they are in these different locations that are not close to one another, we also wanted to add a more graphic abstract element that will separate them. So they are connected, but they are separated by the vine. And we know that the vine have separated the glimmers in Lorcana in this in Wilds Unknown. So I think that's a really successful like little duo of cards that helps to connect these two cards, these two particular special characters together.
One thing, like a detail about these that I really love is like you don't see too often that two glimmers are encast by the Lumineer, two Dreamborn glimmers. But these you can actually tell because like narratively they're supposed to be connected. That there's like pieces on their costume that like seem like they were made by the same person. So I just think that that's a really cool element where these two characters come from different movies, but they're sort of brought together by these artistic elements.
So that's a Ruby Emerald Illumineer. What's their name again? No.
Nice try.
Richelle, are you looking at like Peter's like his brooch and the little collar on Pegasus? How they have that
Yep.
diamond?
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't notice that
That's very
before.
cool.
And then
Yeah.
there's more connecting cards. There's actually a lot in this set. So we're just gonna go through some other ones. I'll try to be a
I
little
mentioned that
quick.
I do love connected art, so
They're
I
so
could show.
fun.
Oh gosh.
I love the
I don't
connected art.
Yeah,
Ah,
I don't
So
think
we
Shane
showed
loves them.
Grumpy last week. We showed Grumpy last week. But Sneezy connects with it.
look at the
Yeah,
flower
that's
across.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
Blowing him back with the big sneeze, giving him +1 lore. We're questing for 3 now, Grumpy. There's no need to be upset.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you play his character, chosen character gets plus Gesundheit.
And then we have Happy and Sleepy that are connected here.
More dwarves. More dwarves. That's so fun. With the vine, I love how the vine is going through more vines, more flowers.
We've
And you
got
even have a bit
connected
of the
with
track.
Bashful and Doc here.
Do they all connect? Like all of them?
These
Oh,
What?
Snow
Snow White and Dopey
White.
connect. Yeah, they all connect.
Oh,
Oh, that's awesome.
whoa, wait
Wow.
a
And even like the
minute.
Happy, the Sneezy, the Bashful, the Dopey, they have like no borders on the right and left at all.
Yep.
They don't have borders on the top.
Oh, on the top. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. If you actually
So
like
cool.
overlap them a little bit, they kind of
Whoa.
line up top to bottom also. Yep.
Wait,
Yeah.
okay. Wow.
So we think that people kind of expected dwarves to connect at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like we've
I
done
mean,
we've
it's
done a few.
yes. We'd be upset if they didn't.
Yeah, I would be upset if they didn't. But I think that this is the first time we were trying to connect them top to bottom.
That
And yeah, I think it's quite it looks quite great. I think it's a beautiful panorama, and I think it was maybe the craziest thing that we have done in this set because it's a lot of cards. It's a lot of work from everyone involved. They are all by one artist, Juan Diego Leon, who did amazing job, and he's always doing amazing job for us. But this was just crazy, and I really, as a big fan of panoramic like cards, I really really love it. So I hope that the fans of Lorcana will also love it.
I believe the last time we saw all the dwarfs together with Snow White was in Shimmering Skies, right? When they were all the knights.
yes, steel. That was yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to see them all together again and then have Snow White in the new outfits. It's like a nice, I don't know, exciting reveal every single time. What is Snow White going to be wearing?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, these are amazing.
I'm so curious
Yeah,
because you
these
were
were
talking
tricky.
earlier about like each of the biomes and how there was like the top and bottom with the emphasis on the different ink. Do we kind of see this? Because they're presumably all in Torchlight Peaks, right? Because that's where all the amethyst glimmers are. But are they in the same area, or are the dwarves on the bottom like in a kind of? Is it a little different down there?
Yeah, so you will see that they are all kind of in the lower parts of Torchlight Peaks, and the dwarfs at the like in the bottom row are underground, and the
Yeah,
dwarfs in the top row are kind of inside of a cave, but above the ground, and then Snow White is outside, just walking towards them. So that's what's happening
towards the
here.
cave.
Yeah.
I love that. The track running through from the top. This is incredible. This is for all of the dwarves fans and the collectors. Like this is definitely like frame worthy, right?
Yeah, agree. And then we're connecting the gameplay to the art and the storytelling because we have a one cost dwarf, a two, three, four, five, six, seven, all the way up. So you can play one every single turn without missing a beat, which is also a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And then when you have them all out on the board at the same time, line them up, might
Connect.
as well.
Yeah. Oh, these are so fun.
Yes, I think that it was really like beautiful work done by everyone on this assignment. Rodney Bills was the art director on this set of cards, and Juan Diego, as I mentioned before, have painted all of these guys. And I think he also designed Snow White's costume. So yeah, that's a lot of work put into this. And of course, Shane and his team have like found a way to line these guys up, which also is always a tricky part.
And I know
Just a
it's not
fun little,
narrative main stage, but fun narrative pieces too on all of these cards that go together with what's happening in the art.
just a little Easter egg. If you look under the rules text of Snow White, because that text box is transparent there, right? You can see art underneath it. You can actually see that's the top of the grumpy card. You can see the lines of the flower, like in the
Oh
vines underneath.
yeah,
You
that
can
they
kind of
line
see,
up.
yeah. So that'll help you like
Yeah.
figure out where the lineup goes.
Where
Obviously, Grumpy's not under there because that would be two guys on that one card. But you can see where the art lines up.
That's amazing.
also, I love that you have like the amethyst ink symbol ish in the center of that flower on happy. Like it's not
Mm.
exactly like the amethyst ink symbol, but really, really kind of captures what the amethyst ink symbol looks like. That's so fun. There's so much good stuff going on here. I think we're all going to be staring at it for a long time if
Absolutely.
Richelle doesn't move us on. This is so
Yeah, I'm
good.
gonna move on. We have just a couple of reveals now for fun, but it is also art related. Isabella was a featured character, or will be a featured character in the set. And so this card you've seen before, but this is the epic version.
Heck.
More Singer fives. Love that.
I love all the Encanto cards. Oh man, beautiful
And then
epic.
an enchanted.
Whoa.
Oh, the
Oh, this is
framing on this with the flowers. This is gorgeous.
I was gonna say this is Viv again. Incredible work
Yeah, it
here.
is.
Two enchanted in the same set, crushing it.
Wow. Crushing it. Is that a bottle
Yeah.
of gummy berry juice? I
No.
know. I was probably not. It's probably not. Anyway,
Just a potion. So she's she's
it's
related
just a
to plants,
potion.
and we show her as this kind of herbal kind of healer character here.
That is so gorgeous. Man, these enchanted every set, right, Garrick? We always say that every single set, the whole community is like, this is the best set of enchanted that we've ever seen. Every single set. This is beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. And Isabel is my favorite Madrigal, so I'm overjoyed to see all of her representation here. I'm gonna have to get all of these. We'll be opening a lot of packs,
This
I
one's
think.
this one's fun because it's got a lot of little foil stamped flowers and stuff in there. So when you see it, you can see all these little flowers that are like, because they're metallic, they light up differently at different angles. So you see the flowers kind of popping
Like
in. It's
Ooh,
really
sparkling.
cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
nice.
That's a great thing
Nice.
about
Yeah.
the enchanteds and the iconics. Like you see the beautiful artwork here on your computer screen or your phone or your tablet or whatever, and then you see it in person. It's just like it levels up completely. It's hard
Yeah.
to describe how good they look in person if you haven't seen one yourself.
Yeah, Shane's team does amazing work with these cards and kind of making sure that they are as beautiful as they can be.
So that's everything that we have for this creative main stage. Thank you everyone who joined. Before we go, if there's one more question from each of you, if you have anything that you want that you have not gotten a chance to ask, Rebekah, you
Each of
good?
us can ask us one more thing.
One more thing.
Oh, I would just love to know from each of you, like, is there one particular thing or a specific card that we've seen already, obviously, or maybe you can just, if it's something that we haven't seen yet, just say we haven't seen it yet. That was like your favorite thing to work on for Wilds Unknown.
You go first, Anna.
I don't know. I think that this set was definitely like creatively quite challenging to make it because it's the first time, and I like a good challenge also. But the thing was that we needed to show the characters in different places. So kind of the premise was that the characters are lost and they are in unexpected places. And because in Lorcana we just place characters in different places, that was a big challenge to solve. And I think that the way we solved it, I think everyone in the team should be very proud about this, as well as the artists that we have hired to work on the concept art for us, because I think that it clearly reads like these characters are in different places, and some of these places are really unexpected. But I think so that's something that I enjoyed, like seeing solved. So that was great. I also think that working with Pixar for the first time was really great. Like for me, it was really amazing to visit Pixar and to talk to them about what we plan to do with their precious characters. So that's stressful, but I think that also everyone did great work with treating these characters like with respect, but also putting them in this new context that we have for them in Lorcana. So that's also quite a big part of what the set was. And I couldn't be happier with how the set of enchanted and iconic cards turned out. I think they look amazing, and I really hope I get some because it's so hard to pull these cards. So just one.
For me, I would say I'm really proud of how those iconic cards came out, especially the Merida with the lacing on her top and her bowstring and all that stuff. But I will also say, I think sort of as a teaser, there's a certain enchanted card that we haven't shown yet, where like a fire element to it that we took a big swing on, and it came out really cool, and it was a little risky, but it looks awesome. I'm excited for you guys to see that in person. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you answered Rebecca's question. You also answered my question at the same time because my question was there a particular card or group of cards in Wilds Unknown where you guys took a big artistic risk that paid off? And I think you both just answered that, tied up in her
Nice.
question as well. So perfect.
And I'm gonna ask you after this which card you're referring to, even though I think I know which one it is.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for joining. Rebekah, where can people find you?
Yep, you can find me across all socials at RebekahQuests. Easy peasy.
Garrick?
You can find me a bunch of different places. Usually, if you just Google Garrick and Lorcana, you'll probably find me. And you can also find me as a host of Podcana along with Sky. And I stream every Wednesday with JDZ Quest on This Is Not a Podcast. And I also do the Quest cast with Brent Mukai. But yeah, just Garrick and Lorcana, you'll probably find me.
And again, thanks everyone who joined. Wilds Unknown pre-release is May 8th, with the full release the week after on May 15th. So make sure you get to a pre-release, get that pre-release box, get one of those cool promo cards, and hope to see you at a future event. Enjoy. We'll
Thank
have
you,
one more Mainstage
everyone.
with Game Dev on Wednesday. Thanks,
Forward to it.
everyone.
Thanks
you.
for having me. Bye.